Hi loves, I'm going to be doing a reading for the new moon in Scorpio, and before I do that I have a pretty big announcement, and I'm going to be moving on from Seattle, and it was a difficult decision to make. I have so many people I love here, but I feel like it's time for me to go, and I don't know exactly where I'm gonna go. And the message I received from, I was feeling scattered, and it's like a lot of my loved ones are now scattered across the country, and the message was for me not to sign any lease or any offers, but kind of float for a little bit and purge out what I no longer need, let the tower crumble, and see where the road leads. So I'll be moving out December 10th. I'd love to see you guys before I go. This is a really tough decision for me. And then I'll be headed to Utah for a little bit, staying with my parents, and hopefully I'll be coming to see some of you guys in some of the sunnier states. The message was to chase the sun and chase the yoga, and moving out of my place here will allow me more freedom to be able to do that. I did a meditation as part of my Reiki training where I called in my spirit guides, and I was like, oh yeah, the swan's gonna be there, the heron's gonna be there, the spider, all this stuff, but the owl presented itself, and then in the wings was Pegasus, and the message at the time was that to use that wisdom that I'd received here in the dark, and Seattle was a beautiful chapter of my life, and maybe I come back, to use the wisdom that I've received in the dark, and then Pegasus will let you know when it's time to fly. And it just kind of really feels in alignment for me at this time. It's really even hard to say goodbye to even the creatures here. And anyway, the swans came and the heron came yesterday, I think, to say goodbye, that it was okay to move forward. Another announcement too is that I'll be going to Palm Desert and Joshua Tree to demonstrate in the World Yoga Championships. This has been a dream of mine for 9 years to be invited to this, and so a lot of things are coming to fruition. I'll be in Hawaii over Thanksgiving, and then be going to my parents in Utah for December, and then I don't know. Where there's uncertainty, all things are available to us, and that's kind of what I'm moving through. All right, so let's look at the reading for today. Work through your fears. New moon in Scorpio, so it's all about kind of facing your fears, and those are the things that are truly hold us back in place. And when we actually decide that we're going to face our fears, then we move from a place of fear, which is such a low level of consciousness, into a place of courage, which transfers us out of force and totally back into our power as well. I'm going to be pulling from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Oh my god. The first 3 cards that came out. Wow, okay. The Sun. So in facing our fears, on the other side of your fear is your desire. That's abundance. And letting that light come into our lives, chasing that joy, finding that bliss, that birthright for you as well. And the next card that came out was the 8 of Cups, which is a journey, ascension, moving on from something and moving forward. And then the 7 of Pentacles. So I think this is definitely between the 3 of these cards here. What I'm getting here is, with the 7 of Pentacles, it's like you've done the work. Now you can kind of just sit back, move forward, and to play almost while you wait. So allowing things to move forward for you at this time. That sun energy, that joy, that abundance coming in for you as you just move on from your fears. Really, everything that we want is on the opposite side of our fears, and so allowing ourselves to know that the only thing that's holding us back is a fear itself. The light, it's really interesting here, the light here as well, and then in this one, the moon was eclipsing the sun. So I was also thinking about Daniel and the lion's den. And in Daniel and the lion's den, the lions are like the obstacles in our past, the hows, the worries, the fears, how we're going to do this, how it's going to make it happen. And what Daniel did was he focused on the light. He focused on his consciousness, knowing that his controlled imagination was his savior, and that held to that vision itself. So moving towards the light, focusing on the light of what it is that you want, and allowing that to move you through. Going to be pulling another additional card from the Oracle of the Unicorns. Anger. Interesting. Safely express your anger. Use your anger as a positive force. Honor all your emotions as sacred. And it's this beautiful lava energy here in this horse. And I mean, I feel like this reading is very personal to me, and as far as honoring anger, and I've been moving through some things and doing some kind of neuro-linguistic programming, and the things that come up from some of these more traumatic memories in my life is this anger towards these experiences. And I feel like for so long I rejected the part of myself that had all this anger, and in a way it was throttling all that energy and stifling it and choking it off. It says use anger as a positive force, and honor all your emotions as sacred. So our rage is actually sacred, and our anger is actually, it's a very positive, generative force, and that's something that I'm choosing to release shame about. I haven't always expressed my anger in the most positive ways. That's for me to sit with. But learning to channel that in different directions, learning to express our boundaries, learning to know that our anger is actually a calibration to know that things aren't actually right with us, things aren't actually in alignment with us. And a lot of us aren't taught to safely express our anger. We're taught to completely like repress it, stifle it, not speak up, not say anything. So learning to actually sit with your anger, and to not just only sit and internalize it, but learning to express your anger in a healthy way. I want to get a clarifying card on that as well. Okay, the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, this is another card of abundance, purpose, fulfillment, entrepreneurship, projects, endeavors, optimism, really somebody coming into their own. So yes, using and channeling that anger into creative life force energy as well. Anger is actually, so when you face your fear is such a lower level of consciousness than actually anger. So it's actually a more generative force, more it's energy and motion and moving you forward towards those things that you want to be doing at this time. Sometimes I question if I should bring in, some of my own personal insights and reflection to these cards and not personalize the reading through myself. But I also feel that my vulnerability is something that is my supernatural power, and my vulnerability allows for a safe place for other people to express their vulnerability as well. So as a reader, I think it's important to share the things that I'm moving through as I purify myself in my process. All right, sacred geometry, integration. I don't know if you can see that very well. The frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize into balance symphony of life. So there it is, that whole integration of self, the light and the shadow, that creates wholeness. And my beautiful friend Haji, following a mushroom journey with her and my friend Emmy, I had so much shame around all the kind of darkness that I felt released during that process. And she told me, Jordan, if we only love the light part of you and not the shade and the shadow, we don't love all of you, and we love you wholly. So that truly unconditional love, loving both parts, integrating the light and the shadow. When we keep the shadow into chains, it's Scorpio season, bitches. When we keep the shadows into chains, we rob the whole of its grace. And that's something I've been learning. The more I try to fight against those things inside of me, what we resist persists. Full integration of self. And lastly, I'm gonna put from the, let's do the Lover's Oracle. Oh, this is really beautiful. I love the warmth of this card coming through. Soulmate. Your soulmate is already with you in spirit. Believe this and they will manifest physically. So we're all one consciousness. We're all united. We're all exchanging energy back and forth. And really being in that space of knowing that you can call this and speak this into existence. It's really, as we start, this was through your fears. This is on the opposite side of your fears. You know, in terms of manifesting relationships, oftentimes we think of it's not you, it's them, but it's really actually you. And we tend to perpetuate the same patterns and same cycles because those samskaras, those limiting beliefs are playing out and getting expressed on each new romantic partner that we experience. And so if you notice the same patterns, the thing to prune is in ourselves, actually. And so our subconscious, because we don't feel worthy of the love we truly desire, can energetically and physically push people out of our life that come in and to love us unconditionally and to have the kind of love that we wish to experience ourselves. So that's something that, I've been working through as well, is how to be in a place of truly knowing that I'm worthy of what it is that I desire on a deep level, and knowing that the only person to change is yourself. So as within, so without. These people who show up, sometimes I want to get super angry. They're only messengers for what's inside of me. And yes, I hope this helps. And I love you, I value, I accept you. We are limitless. If you want me to come visit you, let me know. As I speak it, I create it. Sealed with a kiss.